You like to believe you think for yourself. You like to believe your opinions are chosen, not handed to you. You like to believe you weigh evidence carefully, but you also like things to be easy. You like one-click payments. You like next-day delivery. You like headlines that tell you what to think before you finish your tea. You call it efficiency. You call it modern life. You call it staying informed, but you rarely call it what it really is. If you want to protect the part of you that still questions, subscribe now, because you are surrounded by systems designed to make you stop questioning. And you won't notice them if you are always comfortable. You think convenience saves you time. You don't realize it may be costing you thought. You don't realize how easily your mind trades effort for ease. And if you value your independence, stay with this channel. You wake up and reach for your phone before you reach for your thoughts. You scroll before you stretch. You accept before you read. You skim before you understand. You trust the summary instead of the source. You tell yourself you will look deeper later. You readily do. You move through your day, choosing what feels simple. You choose the faster route, even if it teaches you nothing. You choose the shorter article, even if it leaves gaps. You choose the louder opinion because it saves you analysis. You are not lazy. You are busy. You are overloaded, and when you are overloaded, you reach for relief. Convenience feels like relief. It removes friction. It removes delay. It removes effort. And slowly, it removes resistance. You stop asking where information comes from. You stop asking who benefits from your agreement. You stop asking whether your reaction was earned. You tell yourself you're just adapting. You tell yourself everyone else does the same. You tell yourself it is harmless. In the UK, you are trained to avoid a fuss. You are trained to keep things moving. You are trained to respect the cue. You are trained not to interrupt, and increasingly, you are trained to press yes. You press yes to cookies. You press yes to updates. You press yes to terms you have not read. You press yes because reading feels heavy. You press yes because everyone is waiting behind you. You press yes because you do not want to be difficult. Saying yes becomes your default, and default becomes destiny. You start to trust what is presented first. You start to believe what is repeated most. You start to agree with what requires the least effort to digest. You normalize not knowing the full story. You normalize surface thinking. You tell yourself depth is for academics. You tell yourself you are practical. You tell yourself you do not need to overthink. But critical thinking is not overthinking. It is the willingness to pause. It is the willingness to tolerate discomfort. It is the willingness to say, I am not convinced yet. And you say that less and less. You feel a subtle irritation when something takes too long to load. You feel a subtle impatience when someone explains something slowly. You feel a subtle boredom when nuance appears. You prefer clarity packaged in certainty. You prefer confidence over complexity. You prefer speed over scrutiny. You begin to confuse fast with true. You begin to confuse simple with correct. You begin to confuse popular with proven. Around you, everything is optimized for ease. Your apps remove steps. Your news removes context. Your feeds remove contradiction. You are shown what aligns with what you already accepted. You are spared the friction of disagreement. You are cushioned from cognitive strain. And your mind adapts to the cushion. You stop lifting heavy thoughts. You stop exercising skepticism. You stop stretching your doubt. When someone challenges you, you feel attacked. When someone complicates your view, you feel irritated. When someone asks for evidence, you feel defensive. That discomfort is not random. It is the strain of unused mental muscles. You have grown accustomed to smooth surfaces. You have grown accustomed to guided conclusions. You have grown accustomed to mental shortcuts. Shortcuts are efficient. Shortcuts are seductive. Shortcuts are profitable because when you do not think deeply, someone else has already done the framing for you. When you do not question the design, you accept the design. When you do not examine the narrative, you live inside it. You believe you are choosing freely, but you are often choosing from pre-filtered options. You believe you are informed, but you are often pre-interpreted. You believe you are decisive, but you are often nudged, and nudges feel like your own ideas. That is what makes them powerful. That is what makes them invisible. You resist the idea that you are influenced. You pride yourself on independence. You pride yourself on common sense, yet you rarely audit how your common sense was formed. You rarely trace your opinions back to their source. You rarely ask who simplified this for you. You feel slightly uneasy hearing this. You feel a quiet resistance rising. You want to believe you are different. You want to believe you still think critically. So here is the uncomfortable truth. Convenience is not just a tool you use. It is a training program, shaping how you think. Every time you choose ease over effort, you reinforce a pattern. Every time you avoid friction, you reduce tolerance for complexity. Every time you say yes to save time, you teach your brain that depth is optional. Over time, your threshold for effort drops. Over time, your patience for ambiguity shrinks. Over time, your thinking becomes reactive instead of reflective. This is the core trap. You do not lose your intelligence. You outsource it. You outsource it to algorithms that predict you. You outsource it to headlines, to compress reality. You outsource it to influencers who preach you conclusions. And because it feels easy, you rarely notice the trade. You trade autonomy for convenience. You trade depth for speed. You trade critical thought for comfort. If this recognition unsettles you, subscribe now while you still question, because the more comfortable you become, the less you will feel the loss. You can reclaim your thinking, but only if you tolerate friction again. You can rebuild skepticism, but only if you slow down. You can strengthen judgment, but only if you read beyond the summary. So before you press yes again, ask yourself who benefits from your ease. And before you move on, consider whether you are choosing convenience or whether convenience is choosing you.